Hey, what is up, everybody? So we just had some news come out that I want to cover, that the Packers have signed Kristian Welch, linebacker who was here in 2023, spent 2024 with the Ravens and the Broncos. But the news just came out on the Packers official website. And I think that when we look at Kristian Welch, when he was in Green Bay in 2023, he was mainly a special teams guy. And back in that season, he had the fourth highest special teams snaps in 2023. And if we look at the current makeup of the Packers roster, some different moves that happened during the free agency period, the Packers sign linebacker Isaiah McDuffie to a 2-year, $8 million deal. And then they let Eric Wilson go. He then signed a 1-year, $2.6 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings. And the thing with Eric Wilson, he was one of the most used Packers players when it came to special teams in 2024. He had the most special team snaps of any Packers player at 321 snaps. And so, looking at McDuffie and Eric Wilson, part of me thought Wilson could be back just because he was such a big contributor to special teams. I think the Packers decided to bring back McDuffie because he's only 25 years old versus Eric Wilson being 30 years old. And so it makes more sense just in the years that McDuffie has ahead of him. And so now I think the reason the Packers bring in Kristian Welch is because they bring in a guy who already has that experience with the Packers, with Rich Bisaccia in 2023. He was pretty effective during that year. I think he had the third most coverage tackles. And so I think that this is just a move for a special teams kind of transaction. If we look at the Packers in their whole linebacker room right now, you have Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyrone Hopper, and then now you have Kristian Welch. And so you also get some depth at linebacker if the Packers ever have injuries there. But I do think this will be more of a, special teams role. And if we look at Kristian Welch, he hasn't really ever played much defensively. He has 100 total snaps on defense since he entered the NFL back in 2020. He entered as an undrafted player with the Ravens in 2020, spent 2020, 2021, and 2022 with the Ravens. He spent 2023 with the Packers where he had 1 total defensive snap. And then last year he was on the Broncos and the Ravens, had a total of 53 defensive snaps. So last year it was the most he has played defensively, but still not a ton of snaps there. When you look at his special team snaps in his career, that's where he's gotten, most of his playing time. 1,496 special team snaps since 2020. And so I assume that this is a special team signing to fill the hole that Eric Wilson is leaving with all those snaps, those 321 snaps he had last season. And so I assume this is going to be a very cheap deal. And Welch is also 26 years old, so he's a guy who could be here, be utilized as one of those depth pieces at linebacker, and then just be someone that the Packers, who they are, they already know they can trust him from what he did back in 2023. So I think it's a smart move to bring him in on a cheap deal for the need that the Packers had there. But that's pretty much all I have today. Thank you guys for watching as always. If you guys want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe. I'm also going to leave a link to my video I did in my Faith channel recently. So if you're into that, feel free to check that out. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.